Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another account review. This time is Sohiken aka Carisha, and he asked me to look at a few things. So Eclipse is the most important because he lacks gold ethers. League of Honor future focuses, what is he lacking? Now BigShak, man, because he's a few ways from completing it. And another big factor, what TM said for PvP. Okay, that last is a question that I'll be able to answer pretty quickly due to this. Down below into the description is a link that I even use, but for all fairness, it shows you what characters you gotta play, what characters you should be popping, and what kind of TM gear and such. So this is pretty much a guideline. Is this the be all end all? No, but you could use this as a reference. It also says what perk pages you gotta pick, optimal stats for a certain amount of characters, and then you have a tier list that currently gets updated every so often. But keeping that into account, I will make sure to give Ken the right amount of information that he would be able to use right about now. So the one thing that we are going to check for sure is, once again, what account are we looking at? Play record, we got about 934 days. We got a champion with 5-star unique weapons, 5-star unique treasures, artifacts, however, not that big, so that is good to note. And we got ourselves a few characters that could do some well things. So first and foremost, we were going to look at the Eclipse part. Knowing that Carisha could do something over there, I'm quite wondering whether we would be able to play that or not. But since she is not 1820 yet, that is highly debatable. He is an Ezekiel player, which is League of Honor to the bone. Same goes for Lucica, which is really great. As for Nikki, got her A2, but not higher investment than she probably would need. We got ourselves Fall of Frey pretty high up there with what exactly? Cooldown S2, shield increase, and a cooldown S2. Now, however, liking this a little bit and going for this perk page is pretty decent. However, this is not needed, a blessing of mana, because you never need all of this anyway. That being said, I would rather change this up for another crit perk, but that would. As for Isaiah, currently on a 5-star, and the UT2 is not high up there yet, so I'm going to change this for you at least to make sure that you could use this for Eclipse if you do like her. Then we got Cakeberry, some other stuff. We got Greenery, which is honestly one of the nicest characters for Eclipse currently around. Do I know how to play her? I do not. But I'm just gonna show him the teams that I would probably use along the way as well. So he got himself Estelle, and this outfit is gorgeous. Yes. And then we got himself Glenwis, and his Glenwis is not good for what it seems. So there's one thing that I'm instantly wondering about. How is his Jane then? His Jane is equally as bad. So if he really wants to go up, I would definitely support him on investing into a Glenwis with just unique weapons and unique treasures to get all up there. Now there's a funny note, since he already has this Pumpkin Struck Evil Spirit, which allows you to get a very neat addition. So if you want to increase your Greenery, I'm resetting the whole day to get the wave 80. Nice. So what I would suggest is you could get yourself Siegfried, and Siegfried will allow you to never get hit whatsoever, and Glenwis does very well within a certain amount of gear. So what you're looking for are, hopefully you got one of these, is attack reduction and defense increase. Now this is actually very neat, but unfortunately it is awesome. So if you can get multiple pieces of these and have about 500 block, then you would do just fine. Reason why, Fall of Frey on the S2 Dark will give yourself 400 more block on top of that. So that way the shield will grant yourself so much more HP. In that sense, the shield that Glenwis will receive will go up way higher. It will be way more valuable because the defense of the shield will be way more. So chances of her dying are actually abysmal. So at that point, the perks that you are using, gorgeous, but that way you can get the Spirit Morphing out. You don't have to use this anymore, and instead you can use the Pumpkin Stuck Evil Spirit, which means that overall the shield on your Glenny will increase as well because Fall of Frey is gaining more attack too. So then another character that I have is Yorahardna. Now Yorahardna, for what it seems, needs work as well. I have a feeling I know what you did, but I'm gonna double check it. You're probably going for May first. However, I would rather put May in a different team after having used her like that myself. So in that sense, I could see where this is going, but I wouldn't like it myself. So go for Greenery herself. Oh, none of his teams are all set up. Okay, that's a good thing to know. So his Greenery team is pretty much set up. I like this team actually. Now what I would personally do, since Rahardna is good with this but not very likely gonna allow him to survive, I would rather put a Spirit Morph Ring on this Jane. Reason why, you can get this Lucicle to survive anyway if you put Lavril in that team. So I would honestly change this for this, but the only thing that you will definitely need is S2 cooldown. So that way your Lavril will honestly be a little bit less on the critical damage. However, it will increase your survivability by a lot. The only downside is there's not a lot of people who have that cooldown reduction on S2. So it will be something that you could be farming. So note that down. That could be something that you could change. As for this dude, I'm not sure how good he is, but having not a magical damage dealer up there is quite disturbing. Even though that Claws is good, my personal favorite would be Neuroxys if he does have him. Where is his Neuroxys? He does have Neuroxys, but he hasn't gotten him to anything. Okay, so we gotta check what kind of gear is on him. Okay, absolutely 0 gear. So the reason why I would take Neuroxys over Claws is the fact that Claws is way better in a physical damage team. The other part is you can get non-hero damage for your team with about 15%. As well as the fact that he will grant yourself some magical defense if you get his unique weapon up to a little bit. However, with his Claws up there with probably way more gear, and if you can't kill my guy, this is the wrong character. Yo, how did you set up your... There you go. Having his Claws up there seems already really good. But like I said, I would rather have this team. Oh, this is a nasty perk page. Why the hell are you not picking this? So if I have to pick this myself, oh, he doesn't have the full TP set. So P-block chance increase, I don't think that is necessary unless he has no block chance whatsoever. He has attack increase, all defense increase, shield increase, no extra block. So his gear is very much out of this world. So if I had to give you an option, even for lows, I would give you this, because it is 45% attack, and not just 45% attack on one character, but all allies, which means I saw a Frey in there. Did I see that correctly? No, I saw an Isaiah up there. What I would rather do with a team like that is actually pop normal Frey with that, because the survivability on that one could drastically, and I mean drastically, increase. But then I gotta check your normal Frey. Your normal Frey is hot garbage. Never mind, that is not an option. So who would your other healers be? You have a Lucius, not high up there, but debatable. You got Evan, and Evan is used on what team exactly? Evan is used on the Carisha team. So this is a debate that's going on in my head, because you would feel that this dude could reach wave 40 at least. Now, if you would change this up, what would you do? And since he's only magic oriented, it's a little bit iffy along the way. How good is this Lorraine? Lorraine has literally... Oh, King's Raid just crashed. I've been playing for about 12 hours. So if I have to give my 2 cents about this team, what I would do is I would switch this Estelle out, like I said, for a Lavril on TM2. This way, I believe that this dude can reach ridiculous heights, right? So TM cooldown 2 on the Vril. With this team will allow Lucicio to be alive for whatever reason. Put a May on top of that with the non-hero damage, it will increase everything. Do we then need the defense penetration? No, but can you really use the attack speed on a Lucicio? Yes. You could even think about just switching this out, that out, and get another increaser. And let's say if your Lucicio is good enough, go with something like Shay to ramp up your damage of this team even further. But looking at your Shay, she's a little bit lackluster. However, with a few stars, you might be increased. So in that sense, you take an immortal Lucicio and you will driving him through the wall. And I do believe he would be able to do it. However, another thing that you could do, which is also pretty interesting, is you get your Jane. And if you guys have seen my previous streams as well, this is something that I use personally. This could be done with the Spirit Morph ring that will be left over from your Glenwish. Because thinking about your Glenwish, she is not going to use this anymore after a little bit. So if you then put the Spirit Morph ring on her, you don't necessarily need to heal at the start. And Lucicio will get yourself to 50 along the way as well. But I'd rather see this Jane being in this team because it could increase this Ezekiel's damage by a long shot. So if you focus on the first 3 teams and the little additions that I gave you, that itself will make sure that you get higher up. Outside of that, I'm not quite sure about the rest of your characters. Let me double check if you have anything that might be interesting. Yomora's aight. Visca's ass. Kara is not useful for Eclipse. Hilla's ass. You got a pretty good Lavril actually. Nice. So here's another thing. Talisha will be buffed within a little bit. I'm assuming for Eclipse she will be another goddess. So if you already got it to 4-star, getting her probably to 5-star will get you a nice additional amount of damage and another character that will allow you to do Eclipse. Now if I look at your current teams, what team would she really fit? That is questionable because I don't know how far she could really go. But in a certain sense, I truly don't know what team you should be putting her in. But it might be fine for you to check it out after the patches hit. If I have to give it my 2 cents, it might be interesting to pop the Nikki out, get Ezekiel into this team, and maybe pop your Talisha in here, or decide to say that you're gonna switch. But this Talisha does seem to allow your team to heal up this Neuroxys, and Neuroxys is a very tanky dude, which allows the rest of your team to survive. So I do think that this team would rock a lot as well. Now taking this one into account, giving it a proper tank might allow you to do a little bit better. So if I would have to say so, I would probably get Mora in this. Since your Mora is invested, the only downside is I don't think Mora is that great of a tank. However, another thing that you could do, which was still there, and which would be beneficial to a certain degree, is get Claws up here and get this dude over here, because then you have a frontliner that will have a shield, will have then more survivability, and will have a Claws that gives you full defense. So that in a way seems to be very useful. However, will this be the most optimal for your team? Like I said, I think you need to focus on the very first 2, maybe 3 teams first, but focus on your very first team at the start, because your Glenny and your Rahardna, they both need a lot of investment to just carry you through what you currently have is wave 64. I do believe that with a little bit of investment, especially onto the TM gear on your Glenwish, you should be able to hit 70. Once you get that, the other teams barely even matter unless you get to a point where I'm at with Eclipse. So Rahardna and Glen UT upgrades. Seeks hit with attack, defense lower on Glen, yep, and about 500 block on her. That for the main team, yes. And if you can, get Rahardna on CDR 3 if you haven't already. That is the main thing that you need to aim for. CDR 3 is that one thing that you really need, and preferably on Ocelon. But Galgoria is also good because then you can. So the next one up is how will he do in PvP? Well, for one, and that is something very rough and very awful for me to say, and that will be you need more Christmas ornaments. Luckily you got yourself 2 already, but both this dude and this lady, they need a lot of them. So you're running a team that is very much requiring all that. So if I would say, what should you be getting? If you want to go mad cheap, Uriel would be a character that would add to your team, but more so, I think Shamila would do crazy in your team because one, you got a pretty good enabler, which is Ezekiel, that can just jump to your enemy team, right? Assuming that you can already jump within one single strike, that will allow you to disrupt for your Ezekiel to start, or your Carisha will do exactly the same thing depending on how many MP she will be getting within the long run. So if I look at your Carisha currently, I'd rather have a super fast Carisha, which doesn't look to be the case right now. Do you have any MP per second? Nothing really interesting except for these 2 pieces. Do you have anything over here? Critical damage accuracy. So your accuracy is nice, however I do think your Carisha is a little bit too slow to my taste, because having the ability to silence after the very first hit, that is a very neat feature. The same goes for the S2 green zone, exactly the same reason. Reduces the heal rate, is an amazing disruptor for your Ezekiel, for let's say a Shamila if you need that. Then we got up to Isaiah. Lots of HP, lots of HP, lots of HP. But so how's her speed? Because she needs a lot of speed for her to work with. And I do believe that with just mana recovery per attack and no attack speed at all, it still doesn't make any sense. So if I had to give my 2 cents on this one, for one, this perk page is not allowing her to be super fast. Doesn't the green field prevent buffs? Yes, which is pretty decent. But do allow yourself to be super fast on her, because you're running a team that will need to get super fast into the S3. If you don't have enough MP per second, once again, you will get slaughtered. So that, in my opinion, instead of MP recovery per attack, try to get yourself either some attack speed and MP per second. Reason for that, if you do start investing into her, try to get her soul weapon up for the extra healing. Will take you so long on the cast time on the soul weapon. That itself is humongous and something that you will need to work on, unfortunately. So in my defense, additional dispels target positive effect sounds great and all, and it is useful to some degree, but I would make another perk page if you had that possible to go for the Goddess Embrace, and make yourself sure that you have a Vengeful Curse if you find yourself within another team, enemy team, that will get you one shot as well. Let's say you're fighting a Pavel, the Vengeful Curse will really stop that. So basically, I would say this thing sounds great and all, but if you get her to survive by herself, that itself would be enough. One of the interesting things, however, that I found is that you need a lot of recovery lines on her as well. Reason for that being she kills herself, which means that if you kill yourself, it's gonna really hurt. If you pop the S3 and find yourself dying to a Kane because he just S3s and you can still get hit anyway by anything other than that, you die, right? So getting yourself some recovery stat will allow you to do really good. Unfortunately, it can only be done with the treasures that are equipped. So about 40 to 45% is a bare minimum in my opinion. But in the long run, this one, even though the all damage self takes and the heal rate increases, great and all, but it's not really a perk that you need if you got her maxed out. If I have to pick anything, the skill sheet would look somewhere along the lines of this, with the attack speed or with the swift Vengeful Curse if you're fighting anything that is super bursty. So, but it really depends. So I'd rather take another perk page, but I'm not going to spend the rubies for you right now. because I don't know what you really want at some point. So you can take one with Vengeful Curse and the other one with the Swiftness attack speed, especially because you're running characters that do require a lot of attack speed. Ezekiel is one of them, Carisha is one of them, and Ezekiel is one of them. I'm gonna do it anyway, so he said just do it. So with this, especially if you don't have enough mana anyway, this will be the one thing that you will probably need. I like the speed on her, but I do get why you take the additional dispel. However, why would you really take that anyway if you got yourself a Carisha for PvP? That doesn't make any sense. So going over that character, those two characters, those are really done. As for this dude, I'm not a Ezekiel player. I barely know anything about the dude, but knowing that if you can just simply pop your Fury State right off the bat with a little CC resistance, he will be a god. However, does he really have enough CC resistance with just this? I don't think so. So if he can still get CC'd, why would you not take your time and get yourself 500 CC resistance? Even though you're lowering most of your damage, I see... Well, nah, I get this. I get it. But some CC resistance will definitely work. In my opinion, normal attacks on all along the way. So, like he said, he got some Sieg along the way. It's looking quite fine. I do believe that with some investment, this could be pretty good. So I don't have to say much about it because he is already a main. He knows what he's doing. So here's another thing that I found on my own account that I did not like. Reason why is very simple. These attack and MP recovery per seconds are great. It will increase your shield. However, you will be at a net deficit of critical damage, and that is something that you will need along the lines as well. So the question is, would you rather have a high attack so you have a high end shield? That could be something. So if you could get some more critical damage, I would take 2 of these attack and MP per seconds out and get a critical damage in there. Whether that is the most optimal, I don't quite know. Because like I said, the shield itself and the value stat on it, because the attack is a lot higher. But then on his MP per second, got MP per second on this, MP per second on that. So he did put everything outside of his way to make sure that he got some MP per second in there. However, do note that without any attack speed, that this dude is still really slow and his damage is coming out of the attack speed as well. So having none at all, I don't quite know whether that is the thing to go for. However, if you look at the Incarnation of Doom with every single stack, you get yourself 50 attack speed. It seems good, but it seems a little bit off to some degree as well. I would get at least 1200 attack speed for some reason, because it feels so slow to turn him into this, especially because he has a Christmas Star Ornament 0 star. If you cannot pop your other skills, you won't be getting yourself your shield, such and such. So, I need to look at this a little bit by playing it, because otherwise I feel it being a little bit lackluster. But like I said, a Shamilla onto your team would definitely allow the people to really be worried about your whole team. As for my first ban, it will be a Scarlet ban 100%, because I want that Lucy to be able to do whatever. So then, Fall of Frey, looking quite good. I don't quite like this artifact, but I do get why you pick it. And since you got yourself an Ezekiel as well that can instant jump the people, that is kind of nice as well. But then we run into this dude, which is kind of nasty. And then we got to think about what we pick next. You got a Dosada, which I haven't looked at yet, but Ezekiel itself should be quite decent to do something at least. So you got her on some CC resistance. I'm not quite sure whether this was something that you... Wow! Get something against magical damage. Luckily we got some defense ignore, but I wonder whether that will be enough. So then the question is, what other damage dealer did you have again? I forgot. Does he have Hilda? No. Does he have a good Visca? No. Does he have Carisha? We're gonna just try her out. Any of the damage dealers that he has? Well, none actually. So Lucy is up. So he doesn't jump straight away. And if you would be way faster, you could have been stunning this so many ages ago. Which then in turn would have stunned the which then in turn would have stunned this Kybera, which then in turn would have actually allowed you to win a game like this. So like I said, you need a way faster Carisha, because what she does right now is nothing real massive, right? So unless we get to stun this right now, we won't get to win this whatsoever. Now, Kybera will once again try to do damage. Nothing major because of some gear. Well, since he is at our back and he is quite safe, there's only one big hope, and that is once again do this. Get ourselves a stun once again. And try to do the utmost damage that will allow us to do something. However, the Elias still did not die. We got 13 seconds on the clock and we got a dead Kegberry. Ow! Ew! Especially if you run some damage on a Fall of Frey, that allows you to win. But what? We still lost. Because one thing you should never forget, this mana recovery per second gets multiplied by this amount. So the more that you have in here, and if you also have this thing up here, the Christmas star ornament will then get multiplied by this. So keep that into account. The only downside in which we have here is not enough accuracy, which could be a major problem. Scarlet Bandits will be pick Lucikia 100%. DLK instantly. That means Fall of Frey, and we got ourselves this dude. And since we have a pretty fast Carisha right now, we could probably get the DLK just insta-power with the S2, which means that he will be silenced. So that is another neat feature that you can get. Scat wants to be on Master. Yo, what do you think about the Nikki buffs though? Okay, so we got Eva Nyla, which means that this lady needs to get out. If we don't, we got killed. Which then means Carisha into, or Dosada into Carisha would be very crucial. Knowing that this dude will probably be super bursty, it's kind of nasty. So which skill on Ezekiel is the jump again? I forgot. So I don't think Isaiah would help us all that much because she isn't fast enough against a team like this. Yeah, I know, but what skill is it? So in this manner, we need Carisha on that insta silence. I don't know, is there a skill that does the silence? I know the blue one does, but that's about it. But like I said, it needs to be super fast to at least beat this DLK. So hopefully it will be enough. If not, this dude will get murdered. Luckily, I got myself a Dosada, which will be able to open up that stun straight A. So we're gonna just do this. Open up the DLK. Yoink. Okay, we didn't get it. So then we pull for whatever is left. There you go. And now your Carisha's exactly doing what I want, and that is be fast as fuck, boy. Ah! So this is exactly what I mean. This is exactly what I mean. Now your Carisha is fast enough to disrupt people. Not enough yet to disrupt that DOK, but she still does damage and she disrupts. There's not a shield there that could have won us over there. If that would have been a Loman, the whole crowd would have still been silent because the dude could have not done jack, right? DOK ban, I don't mind. But we're gonna play Lucicio all day, every day, because he is your strongest character. We can build around him, no problem. We might actually get Fall Afraid first, but this, in a sense, is not as ridiculous. The only downside is if he picks Dosada, you don't have a Dispel yourself. So that's why I pick Ezekiel, because Ezekiel can probably be faster than a Lorraine on the S1 stun and could be quite likely to be good. Do you have another tank by any means? Do you have a Loman? No. Do you have a Demian by any chance? No. So the fact that you have no other tanks beside her is limiting you in a certain sense, but doesn't make you die in one go. So this would still be good, but if he decides to open up, that will kill you. So that is where Krisha comes in, and that is where Lucicio comes in at the start, because if he has a straight pull onto anybody, that would literally murder everybody. So with that, he got himself the Surge, and let's see how fast the dude really is. Hisheria. Knowing that this area could definitely kill you, but that is once again what the silence is for. But I need this Krisha to be super fast to disrupt these characters. If she cannot, then we have ourselves a problem. If she can, however, we break this dude's face. Here we go, watch the show, open up. We need a faster S3 in all honesty, but it still doesn't limit us straight away. And all we got to do is make sure that we get started. However, we could not. That thing still. Then again, get this Krisha out of here. Let's hope that we can survive the earlier part. But once again, with all the shield being there, this is not necessarily a problem, because what we can open up is the Krisha S3, which heal rate reduces, and on the other hand will reduce all of that Rebel Claw damage. Yeah, let's try this out. So S3, S2, S whatever, and then we're gonna break this dude. However, another fight on which we can lower this dude's mana would actually help us a lot, because once he opens up the S3 and kills us like it will not be it will not be fun. So let's make sure he doesn't have anything and mana block him accordingly, because he has no stun either. There you go, yeet. And here you go, maximum damage, making sure Rebel Claws is nowhere to be found. And like I said, if the dude doesn't have anything, this attack speed is like really too slow. It could be a lot faster, so I would get about 1200, you gotta know. But once again, Krisha saves the day by popping the S3, and that is why she is so good in a setup like this. And she's still not 8-20 yet, so her damage could increase so much more. So should I go for attack speed on the UTs? I think that's a little bit of a waste, because you're probably going to use him for other content. But you got yourself a Keck, so away. I don't care. Really don't. I'd rather play against his backliners, however, because that seems a lot easier. Refi though, who do we fight? We're gonna fight this Liliad to show you that it is pretty neat on what we can do with a team like this, because now I'm gonna open up Krisha S3 and Ezekiel will just jump and murder everything in his backline, like 100%. Nah, your Ezekiel is the disruptor. You need that Soul Spring Water for him. So changing him with the Soul Spring Water to Krisha, that is not beneficial. So we're gonna open up S2, S1, S3 on that one, and if he decides to stun me on anything, well, he could try. So shouldn't he be in Fury mode at some point? Yep, there you go. And there we go, another stun on the Krisha, making sure that Lilia doesn't get the pop off. Easy. And he runs Lias on top of that, meaning that I shouldn't be doing any damage. Unfortunately for him, I got some ignored defense on Ezekiel. So I could, or supposedly should, be doing some damage. So we're gonna open up those sort of S1, Ezekiel S2, Fallen Fray. I think S1 might be a little bit more useful. He'll be banning DOS. Joke's on us. Don't do S2. Yeah, I'm a little scared. But I don't know what I should be doing before cast S1. Of course. Like, I don't need to jump straight away. We can just outlive this. Come here. Cast S1. You'll get it. Ace. Yay. Yay. Jump on the heifer. Come here. Let me talk to you. And we got ourselves a win, boys. Sir, you forget that Ezekiel has ignore defense. Only downside on a team like this, we have no stun. We will have to wait until we can rock this Kazuskulo. But is it impossible? Hell no. Would it then be better to have some mana drain onto the Lucikiel? Yes. Do we have a perk page for it? Probably, but I forgot which one. So your smart pick would be the Bill Shamila, yes. Because you are semi-bursty, but not 100%. So here we go once again. Shield will be probably up anyway. Here you go. Bow shield. Oh, no bow shield. Okay, let's go. Let's just make sure he cannot do anything anyway. So here's the funny part. Since we got him all up there, oh, he got himself into that skill anyway. And this is why I like Lucikiel to be on a little bit of attack speed. Because right now it takes him way too long to get inside of his skills. We are working it though. But it takes him too long to use his skills. That's why 1200 attack speed would be beneficial for the guy. So with the CC immunity, I can still get Ezekiel to jump up. No problem. We, however, don't have any healing after this, which could be obnoxious, and Krisha might actually die by the very first hit of Mirian. But before that happens, hopefully Ezekiel can jump that Mirian and we can bust his nuts. But like I said, the faster your Krisha is, the better. So I could do one thing that can give me CC immunity right off the bat, which means open up Dosada S2 before the Lorraine can even do anything. This way we cannot get a cast interruption, which is highly debatable, but I'm still going to do it anyway. But that way I can cancel these dudes out, no problem, and then we can pull them in. Unfortunately, I did the pulling a little bit off. Because otherwise I would have killed this dude straight away anyway. Yay, okay, got that one out. Push him in, stun him, and hit him in the face. Else, come here, let me talk to you. That Lorraine is still going to kill us. Why? Because we did not have enough attack speed. 100% this was an attack speed issue. We would have been so much faster if we had at least 1200 attack speed. And if I did not do the S2 first so that I could pull that dude in. And then we gotta see whether this Isaiah is good enough to deal with this issue. We can, however, insta-jump with the Ezekiel and see what happens afterward. So Ken, do I have given you an answer on what you could build and where you could go for? Cause damn, you should have never lost that fight with the Lorraine, man. Like I said, it was part my fault. This spell, not necessarily an insta jump. Cannot pull. Cannot put off anything, but since there's a lot of attackers over there and this is the most likelihood, big downside. So here's the thing that is a little iffy. Your Ezekiel has too much attack, which means that Isaiah will jump your Ezekiel. That will allow him to be invincible for a little bit, but your frontliners aren't getting healed, which means even if Lucy has a big ass shield, if he doesn't get healed, he dies at some point, especially against bruisers. So I would rather have that dude lowered in attack, get the right TM gear, and then go for critical damage instead. DL Keck straight A. Only one, missing one orb from Sieg, and the Sieg set is done. Nice. But I do feel with the right tweakings, you should be getting up pretty high, man. At least master rank for sure. Estelle on top of it. Yo. Let me have him. I'm gonna jump this dude and he's not gonna like it. But like I said, if now Ezekiel jumps to the backline and I use Isaiah to try and heal people up, that could be a lot of things that I don't like. You were super lazy with League of Honor lately, yeah. Anyhow, did that answer your PvP question, my friend? Oh boy, I just dispelled on something I shouldn't have. And yes, without CC immunity, you die over there. Pew! And this will take 12,000 hours to do this. Which is one of the reasons why I say, yo, build some attack speed on this lady. Look at this soul weapon. It's too much. I'm way too scared to pop any buttons at this point. I'm pressing this 2 for no reason. Ow. We're dead. Who are we shooting right now? Oh! Yes! We still haven't won yet though. I see this lady preparing some damage. Why the hell did I S2 once again? I need that. If he actually hits me with one of these things right now, it's over. Nope. Wrong skill. Soul weapon. Shirdo. Oh, we can stun somewhat. Yeah, this is by far one of the most iffy fights I had ever. Beep. No! Ew! Ew, we almost won that. Damn! Okay. Like, there's 2 ways on how to do this, my guy. Either you get a Gao and properly stun this boss with a Mei and have your Greenry just murder, and I mean murder this whole thing. That's one. Or you get yourself a character that can deal with this Path of the Sun. Those are like the only 2 ways on how I would advise you to change up your characters if you can. Because right now you're just getting smoked. Once again, Path of the Sun, nothing we can do. Doesn't even look remotely close. Yeah, and that's because Lucy doesn't have his full stacks, even though I don't. Yeah, I think Gao seems the cheaper way out for you, because if you do believe that your Greenery has enough damage, which I do condone right now, then you should be able to get a pretty decent startup. Anyway, guys, I don't have the answer for you, Ken, straight away. I do think that Gao would be able to give you enough damage to do so. But look up videos with characters such as Kara, Crow, Panzerone that run a single DPS on a single line. I think that will give you enough inspiration to get yourself started on that one. So if you guys have any questions for this video, make sure to ask it, and hope you guys like the information. But for now, I'm gonna hit it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.